Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will talk about the essential and trace element at our lecture 6 in organic pharmaceutical chemistry. First, the simple definition of the trace elements is the naturally occurring homogeneous inorganic substance required in a human in amount not less than 100 milligram per day. They are also known as the micronutrient, and these are the essential or non-essential is based upon their biological effect to our body, disease that occur due to their deficiency, or the toxicity due to the overdose. There are four main rules of these elements inside our body. First is transport of biological small molecules such as the oxygen transport and oxygen storage. The main for the oxygen transport is the hemoglobin and the hemocyanin, and for the storage of oxygen is called myoglobin. The second function is the molecule include metalloenzyme. Enzyme activated the metal ion, such as the catalyzing of redox process, and the second thing in the catalyzing of acid-base process. The third root of this trace element inside our body is the secondary conformation of macromolecules, such as formation of the conformation of enzymes or protein nucleic acid inside our body. And the final thing is metabolism of the microelement is involved in the updating, transport, storage of the trace element. Starting with the first elements called iron. Iron present in some form whenever respiration occurs, so it is essential in the elementary metabolic process in the cell and in respiration chain. Iron functions as electron carrier for the transport of the molecular oxygen. Both of these functions depend on the ability of the iron to exist in coordination compounds, different state of oxidation and bonding. The most of iron found in body with the two types. Our first one is the hemoprotein, are those iron containing protein responsible for respiration and for their carrying oxygen. The main sample of this hemoprotein is the cytochrome C, which is a small found loosely associated with the inner membrane of mitochondria and is responsible for respiratory enzyme in which iron is complex to the porphyrin, which is the heme ring, which in turn covalently bonded to protein portion of the atom. Cytochrome C differ from the hemoglobin by two main things: by the side chain of molecule as illustrated here in the scheme, and for the heme protein, which is shielded by the protein chain to prevent oxygen from interacting with iron. A protein is the hemoglobin with oxygen transport on the blood. It consists of the four protein chain, each of which contain the heme unit, which is first iron plus porphyrin ring, and the iron complexes molecular oxygen by utilizing vacant orbital, which can be used as pair of the non-bonding electron from the oxygen. The patient suffering from the iron deficiency anemia have a decreased ability for transporting oxygen. The final type of the first hemoprotein is the myoglobin, with iron and oxygen binding protein in muscle. The second type is the iron storage and or transport protein. Ferritin and hemosiderin are the iron storage protein found in liver, spleen, and bone marrow. Ferritin is the water-soluble iron protein, consists of the apoferritin and micelles of the colloidal ferric hydroxide phosphate complex, and it stores iron in ferric form and release in ferrous form. The hemosiderin is water insoluble and dehydrated ferritin. The transferrin, from the name, is the major iron transport protein. It is a glycoprotein. One molecule of transferrin can carry two iron ions in form of the ferric state. It releases iron to red blood cell precursor by attaching to the specific precursor on the surfaces of the development of the RBC. This is the simple scheme to illustrate of the overview of iron metabolism. Food iron is predominantly available in ferric state in the stomach. the stomach, where the pH is less than 4, the iron can dissociate and complex with the fructose, ascorbic acid, and citric acid amino acid from the meal. Major absorption of iron occur in the upper portion of the duodenum, and the transport to sternum mucosa facilitated by the presence of the ascorbic acid, fructose, organic molecules that tend to hold the iron in the soluble porous form. The anemia is a condition in which the circulating RBC are deficient in number or in the total hemoglobin content per unit of the blood volume, resulting in lower oxygen carrying capacity. This condition is popular in women and infants. An iron compound used for the replacement therapy must be biologically available and non-irritating. When the iron supplements are prescribed, the oral route is the method of choice, and the water-soluble ferrous sulfate is most widely used and is a standard with iron salt are compared. As usually given after food because it is astringent and can irritate the GIT. The official iron product is the ferrous fumarate, ferrous glucose, and the ferrous sulfate, which is oxidized usually in moist air to form the brownish yellow basic ferrous sulfate. For that reason, is the warning how to store this product. Ferrous sulfate is the most widely used oral iron preparation and is considered as the drug of choice for treating uncomplicated iron deficiency anemia. It has astringent action, but it's probably no more irritating than any other iron salt when equivalent doses are used. The injected form is the iron dextran injection and iron sorbitex injection. The non-official iron preparation is the short review about it. Is the dextroferon and ferrocholinate, ferric ammonium citrate, and ferric chloride. The second element we will check about is the iodine. Is the purple black soil sublime into purple gas and is essential component of the thyroid hormone. The function is regulate basic metabolism and energy consumption and also essential for the proper development of the brain. And iodine is essential ion necessary for the synthesis of thyroid hormone. As the thyroxine, T4 is 4 atom and T3 is the 3 atom of the iodine per molecule. The absorption and excretion of the iodine is absorbed in the form of the iodide and completely absorbed from the stomach and upper GIT. It is also stored in thyroid where it is used for the synthesis, as we said before, the two hormones T3 and T4, and is degraded in Target cell in the liver, and iodine is conserved if needed. The excretion is primarily by urine and small amount from bile excreted in the face. The daily iodine requirement for an average man is about 150 microgram, and for pregnant women about 100 microgram. Lack of sufficient iodine in diet results in the enlargement of the thyroid gland squirter and is a compensatory mechanism in the body attempt to make for hormone deficiency by increasing the size of gland. Deficiency may be absolute in area of deficiency or relative, adolescent, pregnancy, or lactation. Goiters are more prevalent in women and with the increased age. Second condition is the cretinism, as the severe deficiency of iodine during gestation and early postnatal growth cause mental deficiency and deaf, short stature, and hypothyroidism. The major method for assuring adequate iodine intake from or since the 1920s is the iodized salt. The sources of the iodine are seafood and food from plant grown on a high iodine soil. when iodine is administered as uptake is covered by two principal factors. The first one is the character of local thyroid tissue, because the abnormal thyroid tissue tumors has lower uptake of iodine, of course, and lower content of iodine than normal tissue because irregular cell formation here. And the second thing is the level of the thyroid stimulating hormone in the blood, which is a hormone secreted by the pituitary gland, which stimulates the uptake of iodine by the gland, incorporate iodine into thyroxine and control the release of thyroid hormone from the gland. In iodine deficiency, repletion must be done slowly to prevent hyperthyroidism. Paradoxical goiter, which means that enlarged thyroid as a result of very high intake of iodine. Iodide is used as improving agent in hyperthyroidism. The effect is not upon the systemic action of thyroid hormone, but slower the release of hormone, and the second factor involution of the gland, the vascularity is reduced and the gland becomes firmer, which is aid the surgery procedure. And here are the some example of HCl iodine product. The third trace element is the copper. It is believed that the most of population obtain adequate amount of the copper from food, water, and cooking stuffs. Thus, copper supplement are probably not necessary here. The adult body contain approximately about 2 milligram per kilogram of copper. The highest concentration are focused on liver, kidney, and heart. The intake is about 2 to 5 milligram per day. The absorption and metabolism of copper. Copper is solubilized in stomach acid and absorbed from the stomach and upper small intestine. From the intestine, copper move into the blood where it exists first as a copper albumin complex, then goes to the liver where the copper become a part of copper protein, ceruloplasmin, in the brain, ceruloplasmin, and for the blood cell, erythropoietin. The function or rules of copper to prevent anemic condition by three main factors, including facilitate iron absorption, stimulates enzyme involved in heme or globin biosynthesis, and the third one could be involved in the metabolism of stored iron. The other function or importance of the copper is important on the ATP production, and also with the formation of the aortic elastin, as also in the component of the tyrosinase enzyme responsible for the conversion of tyrosine to black pigment melanin. Copper is essential cofactor for a number of enzymes, including the superoxide and the cytochrome oxidase, tyrosinase, monoamine oxidase. The Wilson disease is a condition of excess copper storage is of genetic origin. There is a decrease in the ceruloplasmin concentration in the blood and characterized by the presence of large amount of copper in the brain, along with an excessive urinary output, increased copper level in the liver, brain, kidney, and cornea. The penicillin is the drug of choice, which is a chelating or chelating agent in addition to diet restriction to overcome the excess copper storage. Other elements is zinc. No minimum daily requirement for have been established, although the 10 to 15 milligram daily have been estimated. And food rich in zinc, including meat, fish, milk, nut, and lacum. Vegetarian may not receive adequate amount of the zinc because the phytic acid found in the vegetables, proteins such as soybean, combined with the zinc and decrease or affect the proper absorption of this element. The zinc is component of metalloenzyme, including carbonic anhydrase, lactate, dehydrogenase, glutamate dehydrogenase, alkaline phosphatase. So the deficiency of zinc has a serious consequences, including failure metabolism of nucleic acid, such as cell division, growth differentiation, and multisystemic dysfunction as growth retardation, hypogonadism, ophthalmologic, gastrointestinal, and other symptoms effect. Zinc deficiency is associated with the impaired growth, And the final effect for the zinc deficiency in children are marked by poor growth and impairment of the sexual development. The zinc also uses as a zinc sulfate suggested for wound healing. Oral dose is the 220 milligram 3 times daily, and zinc sulfate with the ORS in the treatment of diarrhea in children, and the topical 10% and oral zinc sulfate for treatment of viral wart. The final trace element here is selenium. It's a component of many multivitamins and other dietary supplements. It's a component of the antioxidant enzyme such as glutathione peroxidase, act with the vitamin E to protect cell and organelle membrane from the effect of the free radical, and also in the deionized enzyme that convert one thermometer to another. The absorption in the upper segment of the small intestine, and is stored in the body as the selenocysteine in the selenium protein. The excretion by urine and in breath as dimethylcyanide with a garlic-like odor. Stators measure selenium or glutathione peroxidase in plasma, platelet, RBC, or selenium level in the whole blood or urine. Epidemiologic evidence indicate that low intake of the selenium are associated with a high risk of the prostate cancer, and more research or they said or proved that the selenium supplementation demonstrates a 42% reduction in the cancer incidence. The sources of the